Hello people, today we are not going to play anything, we are going to talk about labels and how to get signed to a black metal record label. I know this will be an interesting topic to a lot of black metal musicians out there, because when they get to talk with some friends in other black metal bands, this is the most popular theme we talk about. For this theme I even had a help from a subscriber, Derek, aka Tahazu, aka Echal the Blasphemous. We had a similar experience with labels, so I'll share some of his thoughts and experiences too. He was kind enough to send me a huge text about labels, so I had to shrink it a bit. He was signed to few labels with 5 different projects, and I was signed to around 5 labels with 2 different projects, mostly Zimorog. The only thing I have to mention is that I won't share the label names, even though Derek wrote his experiences with all the labels and named them all. But some of our smaller labels now maybe got bigger, and maybe now they have some lawyers. Now I group this video in 4 different chapters: getting your band out digitally, how to contact a label, getting signed to a label, and types of black metal labels. Getting your band out digitally. Regarding digital services and unsigned acts, initially with how the internet and digital platforms are now, there is a great array of tools and assets for a lot of unsigned and digital acts, namely Bandcamp and other means of passive income, from producing and putting material out there on digital platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, etc. Using a third-party licensing and a distributor, such as DistroKid. These usually come with service fees and might be less affordable than other streaming services or other social media platforms like Bandcamp, where the artist gets the majority of sales from both digital and physical releases. And some of those digital services do not have a good payout to the artist. For example, Spotify pays only 0.0001 cent per play or stream, a mere fraction of a single cent, and it takes a long time for the artist to get any payment from those streaming services. It is really hard. There is also promotion and marketing done via streaming services such as YouTube. There are a lot of YouTube channels out there which will put your band's material on their channels for you to garner further exposure and listeners. How to contact a label. Now this is the theme where I failed a lot, but over the years I met few people who own smaller labels, and I asked them what is the right approach. Like for example Miroslav from Serbia, who did my cassettes at one point. Cheers to Miro. First, do not mention your pseudonym. Hi! I'm Dark Elf Blasphemer, aka The True, from a band called Empire of the Forest. No, do it more simple. Hi, I'm Bob, from Empire of the Forest. Then send all the links from your social media and band pages, as well as your previous work. Then the point where you do brag a bit is about your next release. So say it will be a lot better than your previous releases. Mention the differences in approach, recordings, etc. And a lot of labels would want this, that your material was not released before, even digitally, so they can be the first ones who will bring it on the daylight. Again, the mistake I did. If they are interested, send them your new material in zipped folder as well as the artwork cover. The third and the most important thing you can do wrong is to sound like shit and then expect from them to take you under their rooster. Again, the mistake I did. Quality does matter, even in black metal for this one. Getting signed to a label. Now to get into the meat and potatoes of how to get connected, signed with a label or work with a limited run producer or distributor. There's many different types, and it really chokes down of how the person is running their business / label. Some labels are cassette tape only printers and distributors, and some are CD only. Some do both. If they like your new material, they can ask you to release your previous stuff. You can ask for it, but do not expect it. Happened to me only once. Types of labels. Few years ago I did a video where I joked about 10 types of black metal labels. But that video was not just a joke, it is the reality. Today we will group them in labels you should avoid or labels you pay, small and okay labels, the ones we have the most experience with, and great and professional labels, the ones we only hear about. But Derek had some experiences with those labels too. There are many smaller labels that do things in majority in one or two ways. They will either contact the artist via Bandcamp contact form as one example, regarding working together and offer them to produce a limited run of CDs or cassettes, and give a portion of the run to the artist to sell for themselves. Both Derek and I were in most of the labels who work like this. It is a bit better option than when the artist gets some income from product sales, apart from digitally, and takes how the whole distribution process works. Either the label or the artist will do all the graphic designs and then they will send them off for printing. Then the logistic and distro happens after receiving a printed stock for sale. Paying labels. The label will ask for funds upfront to cover the cost of production, which most of the new and underground bands can't afford. Then they do the same thing as small and okay labels. They will send you your material for you to sell or reimburse the artist. Usually this doesn't garner much positive return and the artist breaks even at best. Some labels are better at this, but they're far less prevalent. And a lot of these labels will keep all the funds for administrative, operational and managerial costs. Which is not cool, and these types of labels should be avoided whenever possible. There are many types of these labels out there, so the artist should really do their research. Additionally, Metal Archive forums and Reddit forums are a good source for weeding out these types of labels. Now to the more structured, professional and larger labels. There are varying types of these kinds of labels too, and how they conduct their business is mostly based on the owner. If the label contacts the artist, they may offer them a physical or a verbal document contract which the artist needs to read carefully and explore all the terms of the record deal. Sometimes there is a fine print which creates a limited period of time in which the label pays the artist royalties. Usually there is a percentage split of royalties between the label and the artist. The good end of this is 30 to 40% to the artist and 60 to 70% to the label, which is more of the industry standard. Larger and more established labels pay a good amount of money to the artist and covered all the cost of printing, manufacturing, distribution, promotion, marketing, etc. And they offer intellectual property rights to the artist and special bonuses if the band is touring or playing live, etc. And of course, even these types of labels will send the artist a printed stock for them to sell or to keep or to give. And with these types of labels you should be careful about your political or your band views in general. That's it guys, hope you learned something new. See you next time. Savo Stout.